Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Adedoyin is here again. Thank you to my returning subscribers. You guys already know who you are. The real OGs. Thank you. I do not take you guys for granted. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, now will be the best time to do so. Please click the subscribe button below and join the family. If you're new here and you're wondering, oh, what do they do here? Well, my name is Adedoyin and I've been living in the UK for the past 2 years and counting. So I think I'm able to share in my experiences for people to learn from, new immigrants, students, people that are just navigating their way of living in the UK and all the likes. So yeah, on this channel I share content about lifestyle, a little bit of travel, relocation. I also help people who would like to relocate to the UK via the study route. I help you process your visas as well. So in case you need my services or you know somebody who might need it, please reach out to me on Instagram at Adedoyin11 or on my business page at the UK Girl for more information. Please note, terms and conditions apply. Okay, that being said, let's get down into today's business. Guys, so yeah, you're happy, you're excited, you finally got a house. I mean, the previous video that I dropped was about important terms, links, places to look for houses. So maybe you actually watched the video and you were able to successfully get a house, or if not and you just stumbled on this video and you're about to make a decision about a house. Halt, watch this video to the end before you make that decision. Take a deep breath. I know that the pressure is getting worse and you want to make that decision ASAP and you're like, oh, I have the house and whatever we see, make we continue. No, take a deep breath, take a sit back, watch this video to the end, and then I'm sure that by the end of this video you'll be able to pick a tip or two before making that decision. Okay, so the first thing, or the number one thing for you to note before saying yes to an apartment would be proximity. I mean, I'm assuming you're a student. Even if you're not, you work in the UK, or yeah, you're a dependent, you probably want your dependent to have access to the city center. So the first thing to note is proximity. How close is this house to public transport? How close is this accommodation to bus stops? How many minutes walk do I have to walk before I get to the bus stops? How many taxis or how many buses do I have to take before getting to the main train station? I mean, take for example, if you're going to Portsmouth and you live in Southampton and your house is far away in SO45 and the train station is another 35 minutes drive. I didn't say by bus, I said drive. So guys, you'll be spending money on that drive, that train ride, and of course the house wouldn't have come cheap. So even if the house comes cheap, let's even assume that the house is cheap gone, let's assume that, oh, you saw it as a very, very good deal, you end up spending majority of the money you didn't want to pay for the house and center on transportation. So do your maths, do your visibility study and see if it actually adds up or if it makes sense. So try as much as possible to get houses that are in closer proximity to town, city centers, train station, bus stops. Even if you're going to at least enter a bus, at least the first house that I lived, I had to enter a bus to take me to city center before navigating myself via train or wherever. But at least I knew that, oh, okay, the bus stop is usually downstairs of my house, so I know that I can quickly peep out and see that, oh, bus 3 is coming, oh, bus 18 is coming. Do you get? So there was proximity to different types of buses, so you need to consider that as well. How many minutes would you have to walk, so that you can calculate that if I wake up, that's how I do my things, if I wake up like 6, because if I'm supposed to get out by 7, I might have started my alarm for 5:30, 5:45, 5:50 before I finally stand up, so that way you'll be able to calculate that, it takes me 10 minutes to walk to the bus stop, it takes the bus this. And also consider the fact that sometimes the buses comes late, sometimes the buses might be delayed. What will you do? You have to wait and you might have eventually missed your bus. So this thing is actually a very important key factor. How close is it to African market? I'm assuming you'd like to have some African market delicacy, but that really isn't a factor, because with African market you can go there once a month and then do your shopping, but it still needs to be close to stores, to like all the major stores where you can shop your grocery, like Asda, Lidl, Tesco, the likes of whichever one you shop from. So it's important for you to consider this proximity before saying yes to the house. Another factor that it's important for you to consider is molds. Hey guys, I don't know if it's every house is in the UK that has molds. And my first house, Jesus Christ, you guys don't even want to know, it was molds that made me relocate from there. It was a lot, like it was just a lot. I was using mold blaster, kiniko, it doesn't work. It was a lot. Like, I don't know, that thing is like a plant, it just keeps growing, and if you got your house in the summer, you might not notice because maybe they would have repainted it, and then imagine there's mold on this area and then they painted on it. We won't see it if you came for viewing and all the likes. I know that it might be difficult or tricky, but try to look for like maybe damp areas. If it is overly too damp, ask questions. If maybe the current tenants are there, you can go back and ask them the problem they are facing. Ask them about the problem they are facing. Do they have mold in their house? You can go back and ask them these questions, or you can even ask them there and then. But I know that some people will not say anything, or you're not even obliged to say anything whilst the landlord or the agent is there, because there's a clause in my own apartment, this thing that I saw later on, that if because of what I say or what I do, they are unable to rent out the particular house to somebody, shaking it. So guys, another important thing to note is before signing that document, review your contracts. I know I'm not a law student, but you could sit down. I know that a lot of us will just click yes, I agree for most of the terms and conditions that we see online. Please do not do your house contracts like that. Try as much as possible to read through every line. If you have a lawyer friend, all the better. Share it with them so that they can read it to you, so that if there's any clause tying you back, things like that, you're able to know and detect and discuss and trash it out with your agent or with your landlord as soon as possible. Yeah. So another thing for you to note before saying yes to that house is deposits. Guys, before you collect your keys, before you even start living there, have it at the back of your mind that your deposit is either refundable or unrefundable. It is refundable only if you do not spoil things in the house. Do you get? So don't just think, oh, it's your house, you start living, you break the handles, you break the doorknobs, you break this, you break that. You will pay for it at the end of your tenancy, because these agents and landlords, in my opinion, are always looking for things to like deduct, because they also have like a record, they have a list which would have been sent to you before you even start living in that house. So they have a list of how the house is, like how do they, like an inventory. So they have an inventory that has everything in the house. Mine had, with pictures, this, that, so that you can't wake up one day and tell them that, oh, the house was like this when they gave it to you. Yeah, that's their own. You too, before you start living in the house, take a picture of this is very, very important if you plan to get your deposits back, unless you are Omo Babolo. Unless you are Omo Babolo and you plan to leave your deposits to your landlords and your agents, do not do this. But if you are not OBU and you want your deposits back, because that money, if you are going to another house, I'm assuming you also have to pay deposit there. That your initial deposit can be used to pay the deposit of another house. Capiche? So make sure that you look at every nook and cranny of your house. Check for any defaults, check for any broken item, check for sockets, check for bulbs that aren't working. Like, check scrutinize it as if your life depends on it, and then take pictures of it immediately, like maybe just the next day or maybe 3 days after or whatever. But do not let it pass that week that you start living in the house. Do an inventory of your own things, your own faults that you found in the house, major, minor, semi or mine, everything. Pack it together and mail it to the agent or the landlord. There, look, please kindly find attached a list of the errors that I saw before we started living in the house. This is to take note of at the end of my tenancy, so that there will be no issues. So snap everything, send it to them. That way, with mails, we always have access to all this information. Even in 5-10 years time, you can always search for it and it pops up, so that when you're leaving at the end of your tenancy, maybe 1 year, 2 year, or whenever, you can always go back to it in case there's an issue and they say, oh, you spoiled this. You'll be like, no, don't give me that rubbish. I meant this here. Do you get? So that you have a say, you have a point, and they'll be like, oh yes, sorry. So most times I did that as well, and when I sent it, they were like, oh yes, we also have a record of this as well, and then everybody is happy. Don't let me come and hand my tenancy, you'll be speaking in English. Me in Jokes apart, guys, it's very, very important for you to take note of that. Yeah. Another thing for you to take note of before saying yes to that apartment is how long has the house been empty. Do you get? How long the house has been empty for can sometimes affect your what's it called, your electricity bill in the long run. Yeah, some agents or some landlords tend to like reach out to the, you know, to the provider, electricity provider, that maybe, oh, the person has left, things like that, so that they can stop whatever meter reading. But some don't, so it's empty, and then when you come, you meet what's it called, bills. You meet bills on your door. You meet bills on your door as far back and all. So it is important for you to also take a picture of your meter reading before you even start doing anything in the house. So take a meter, ask your landlord or your agent that, please, where's the meter? I want to take a meter reading. They usually, some would give you, some agents would give you, some wouldn't. If you don't, like, they might not even think about it. But you as a person, having watched this video, should not fall prey of it. A friend of mine was given a bill of, I think, about 300 and something pounds last month, and there are just two that lives in the house. She had to reach out to them that, please, how, and they've only barely lived there for 1 month. I know it's winter, but 2 people, 300 and something pounds, make it make sense. It doesn't add up. So I told her to call. So she called them, and they were like, oh, now when did she move into the house? She told them. And she was like, okay, they were like, okay, we will need to see her meter reading as well as her contract to show when she moved in. Please imagine if she did not have that meter reading. What is she going to provide? Of course, there's going to be back and forth. They might still be able to resolve it for her with the contract that she has. But with the meter reading, it helps to see that, okay, this was where the meter was as when I entered, and this is where it is now. Oh yeah, minus and subtract it, juxtapose it, and do the math of how much I've used. So it helps. Make sure that you do your meter reading before you even start living in the house, and keep it in your archives. It is going to come in handy, trust me. And they resolved that thing for my friend, and I think next month, March, they are coming to install a smart meter for her. So guys, these tips actually works. They do. Okay guys, so another thing for you to take note of before saying yes to that apartment, it also has to do with you reading your contracts, is your renewal. Some people would say that, oh, the contract is only for 6 months, and you might be wanting 1 year. So you have to know that, okay, at the end of this 6 months, can I renew? Ask them, oh, that can I renew? Most houses, actually, if they are renewing, they usually had money, because standard of living last year is not standard of living next year. So be prepared that you might be asked to add some money, or you know, you'd evacuate the premises so that they can let it out. And of course, trust me, by the time you are leaving, somebody else is already ready to grab the house as soon as possible. So yeah, that's just really an important thing to note, that what's the renewal policy like? Is it biannually, is it annually? Things like that is actually very important to note. So yeah, these are the few tips that I thought to bring to you guys. I hope that you watching found it really helpful and helps your decision before saying yes to your apartment. That brings us to the end of this video. If you have not subscribed, you still have your last chance. Check up. You still have your chance to do so. Please click the subscribe button. Don't be a stranger. Till I see you in my next video. Bye.